Okay, guys, this is going to be part two of Whitewash, the concealed agenda of culture. So, picking up, we left off on the violation of critical human rights and the issue at hand, which is leading gases, deforestation, and cement production. America has a horrific consequence. So, cement production, we have to understand what's the big deal about cement production. So methane, fossil fuel production, and agriculture. So methane, that means driving vehicles. The production of it is not there. And agriculture, that's our beef. That's our beef stew. They're messing with our beef stew. So nitrous oxide, fertilizer application, fossil fuel and biomass combustion, and in biomass combustion, and industrial process. So environmental justice is having access to a green space for use such as recreation. So here's where you guys pick up on my um, on my draft. So so green space for use. Excuse me, sorry, I didn't know I was recording. Uh, Promoting diversity and socialization. So, environmental justice is having access to green space for use, such as recreation, health and exercise, and promoting diversity and socialization. The the violation of human rights sets economic inequality. So, all of these things that we're naming, not all these things, excuse me, that's human made. This is something that we haven't yet found a resolution to, and I don't even think there's a 1% out there that that works. Uh, kind of like kind of like when people looked at the stars. Like, how did we come up with the Giant Dipper? What do you mean Giant Dipper? It's a spoon. So, and promoting diversity and socialization, the violation of human rights sets economic inequality to green spaces and remnant habitats. So, here we see infrastructure such as buildings of residence and telecommunication and agriculture by disgrading conventional methods for placement of them. So, here we are not taking into account these remnant habitats. We're not measuring the diversity. So background history anatomy begins by addressing our cognitive emotion response. So since I'm a rational human being and I live in a natural environment, I have the ability to understand that my air is not clean. So climate change, at the very least, a failed shove. So authoritative politics impacts economic efficiency in a dilemma by citing a politician on an unalienable reach victory over Vietnam. Or he's a jolly good fellow. So do you see how that 1% underlines a dilemma? It's not choosing between one or two things. It's coming to a solution. It's coming to a foreground for socialization. So that refers, excuse my preaching, man. That refers to improperly placed and developed urban green space. So, although green space could be beneficial, some people decide not to go there because they are aware that it's in violation of their critical human rights. So, the anonymous action on pricing and exchange of goods, the capitalist society for economic growth. So, here we're understanding 17%. Okay, am I going to invest my work in this economic growth? Am I going to work for man? Or is that, or am I, or because man, they love pleasure. So, or the concealed agenda of economic injustice has viewpoints and standpoints. So here, this is where our viewpoints come in through anonymity, the freedom of choice, the law we give ourselves. So others also add in the law of duty to act on that law in order to serve, right? So that's my Bible uh, wording. So others also add the view on injustice by affluent pouring out money in green spaces, forbidding recreational use of health, exercise, and meditation. So why cannot I go to East Sacramento to the beautiful park and enjoy the grass for meditation? I can't. It's not properly placed. It's not suited by culture just yet, or is it? If it's out there waiting for me, I highly doubt, but we'll continue. By unproductive measures of location, and here I just typed in resource. So, green space is a resource. There's quality soil walked on by niggers or slaves from the East Coast. So, here we're understanding that soil is not taken lightly. Soil should be focused on elements. So challenges faced between these boundaries create systemic barriers with outdated authority. So these systemic barriers, they're not taking into account slavery, they're not upholding slavery and libertarianism. They're not understanding, hey, I have an aggressive past. This is what's going to happen, right? And by this, he's speaking to a Mexican, generally speaking to the public, because Mexican has the authority to achieve sustainability of the rotation. So we're able to critique the decision maker in question. So if it's a human, if it's a policy, if it's a infrastructure. So these challenges faced by these boundaries create systemic barriers with outdated authority. So we're going to go back to scientific knowledge, scientific method. Are they just spiraling around as they always did, like Samuel Adams? Where we'll get to that part. Okay, I lost my. So Samuel Adams died by not accomplishing the integral sustainability of libertarianism is understanding a method or an approach to a duty. So the world often has this literature or this superior respect that it underlies systemic oppression, or it's labeled systemic oppression. Although gaining popular resentment to a challenge inflation or reduced tax gained systemic oppressions on modern day immigrants. So we understand, wow, they're reducing taxes. You know, they're that 17% is speaking to me. So the profit of annual report of business infrastructures, volume growth in the infrastructure may be tossed out the window from failing to implement remnant habitat in the agenda. And unseen to a primary source, Mexicans. So are we telling these Mexicans, hey, we're going to go around and start working around the animals in order to have clarity, in order to have more clean air, more education, more news, more entertainment? The violation of animal rights of these species spheres around proposals to return income tax rates, left alone in 1990s to censor blacks in 2008 as the Obama administration. Violation of human rights from spurious respect of moral disagreement leads to a more robust public engagement with our moral disagreement that may provide smarter, not outdated, but mutual respect for the understanding of rationality. So here we understand, hey, we have differences. Let's go to a scientific method so we can stand each other and then reason. However, if we cannot meet culture in the foreground, which is a concealed agenda that we often avoid, that's what critical human rights are. So the summary of harm being at stake: greenhouse gas emissions is in violation of intimate species, altercation with systemic oppression, in violation of elimination of race and culture in college admissions and college affairs. So we're seeing, hey, you know what, guys? We're going to be we see these concept. We're gonna throw consequences at you guys. Can you guys can you guys we're gonna throw these consequences at you guys. Let's say, well, you guys compassionate enough? So here we're being tested. We're like, okay, it's not time yet. Oh, okay. So where those of outdated spirals are bound to pay respect to so current pressure and the harm at stake, questioning the decision maker. So here we have white power. Here we see, hey, Butch, you better start digging. You better start lifting. So here it's pressure. We need that pressure. We need that rat rod on our back by the decision maker. Since we're not there yet, we need an actual person to tell us what to do if we don't have socialization. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, we're going to stop here. Part 2, whitewashed, a concealed agenda of culture.